In my CA journey, every time I started my preparation for a particular attempt, I would start with high spirits. I would say, this time I will not repeat the mistakes I did the last time. I would play all the cards right and I would make sure that my preparation would stay in complete control. And that seriousness would last for 1 week or a maximum of 10 days. Once the novelty effect of the new attempt and the new hope faded off, I would slowly slip back to where I was and how I was. How I would go off track in every attempt, the process would somewhat look like this. The wounds from failing last attempt would have healed, a sense of comfort will slowly begin to arise from a deep corner of my heart. The sense of comfort will slowly turn into a sense of complacency. At the first sign of any temptation, my mind would say, okay, we are just in the early days of our preparation, the exam is still 100 days away, we can relax a bit here. Even if we lose some 3 to 4 days here and there, we can become super serious and we can always make up for it. Then I would yield to my distractions and the preparations would start to become quite haphazard. I would study for 1 day and then I would end up wasting 3 to 4 days continuously. Like this, 60 to 70 days of preparation would pass. And when the last 20 days come, the exam would be so near and the sense of complacency I was having so far would turn into a sense of panic. And then the panic would also bring a huge wave of guilt that I had wasted the last 60 to 70 days, and had I used them well, I would have done this and done that and so on. I guess quite a few of you watching this could resonate with what I'm saying. During the first 10 days and the last 20 days, almost all of us stay in control and we almost achieve whatever we plan. But it is during the middle phase of our preparation that a lot of us lose control. So the single most objective of this video is to help you by explaining how not to lose control during the middle phase of your exam preparation. In this regard, the video answers 3 main questions. What are the avenues that cause us to lose control? What can we do about them? And what are the obstacles we face in the process? That leads us to the next segment of this video. Question number 1. What are the avenues that cause us to lose control? Let's imagine it this way. Staying in control of your preparation is like driving on a highway. Let's say that to reach the place you want to reach, you need to keep driving straight. But the highway is filled with a lot of exits on the side. You should not be driving into any of those exit ramps whatsoever. Every time you get into an exit ramp, you will be diverted from your ideal route and it will be a big detour before you get back to your ideal highway route. Just recall the last time you went on a binge watching spree or the last time you found yourself scrolling your phone for 3 hours straight. You needed a small distraction to clear up your mind. You would have never intended, okay, for the next 3 hours I will scroll Instagram. Rather, you would have thought, I have been studying for a while, let me quickly catch up for 5 minutes with what's happening around. And in most of the situations, the 5 minutes would never stop at 5 minutes. If you trace back to the source of all the times you ever got out of control, you would find the starting point could be a moment so trivial that you wouldn't have even taken much notice. Distraction never announces itself so loudly and would try to derail you. It visits us through what I call subtle slippery moments. And our days are filled with these subtle slippery moments. They can be the moments when we are bored, moments when we are stressed, moments when we are transitioning from one task to the next, moments when something unexpected happens. To give you concrete examples, the slippery moments could be when you just finished your lunch, when you got up to receive a courier from somebody, the moment after you kept the phone call, the moment after you came back from the class. These are the examples I can give based on my life. Now your life might be much more unique and different. It would be immensely helpful if you learn to develop this ability to catch the slippery moments by yourself. To do that, you need to start tracking your time. I have made a separate video in which I have emphasized the importance of why and how every CA student should track their daily activities. In case you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend you to watch it after this video. Okay, once you get hold of tracking your daily activities, you will become intuitively more sensitive toward how you are transitioning from one task to the other during the day. You would also be more tuned to note the boring, mundane moments that you face in daily life. If you develop awareness during the slippery moments, you will catch yourself before carrying out the rest of the behavior unconsciously. So that was the first step. to identify the slippery moments. But the next and most important step is to find out what happens after you slip. Feeling dull and bored is one thing, but after you feel dull and bored, you firing up Instagram and losing the next 90 minutes in scrolling is another. We cannot avoid subtle slippery moments altogether from our lives, but we can find out and eliminate the traps that are present after that. So let's do an activity together. Take a piece of paper and list down whatever distractions you have in any form right now in your life. To begin with, let's say Instagram, YouTube, X, Snapchat, Telegram, Reddit, Discord, video games, all OTT services, everything. Take a complete inventory. Be as exhaustive as possible. Now you have to visualize that each one of the things you listed is the root cause of all your problems. They are the ones that are going to make you lose your sense of control during your preparation. Once you have identified the distractions, the next step is to reframe and remove. Every time you see Instagram, you should not see it as a source of entertainment. Rather, you should see it as an exit ramp in the highway waiting on the side to drag you out of your ideal path. You have to do the mental reframing in the same way to every distraction. After you are done with the reframing, as a rational human being, what would you do next? You will eliminate them, right? That's exactly what you should do. If you are in a situation where you genuinely want to eliminate those distractions but don't have the courage to do it, then let this video be the final real push you need. Now, without any second thoughts, just blindly remove them from your life. Understand that the main takeaway of this segment is not simply deleting social media and other distracting apps. That's an obvious point, and you would have already heard that a million times. The real takeaway of this segment is what I'm going to say next. A majority of you watching until here might have already thought of deleting those apps and removing the distractions altogether. But somehow, for some reason, you might not have done it yet. That's because your mind might have been throwing at you some illusions, so you still keep holding on to those distractions one way or the other. Now, the rest of the video is much more important because I will expose you to all 4 such illusions, and by the end of it, you would get much more clarity. Illusion number 1. I need them for my preparation. What a comfortable excuse we say to ourselves, isn't it? We say to ourselves or our parents that we haven't uninstalled these apps because we are using them for our preparation. Don't you find it funny? The truth is, you don't need Instagram, Telegram, Reddit, or anything for CA preparation. Don't play that card. These new platforms were available just in the last 3 to 4 years, but people have been writing CA exams forever. How do you think people back in 2017 and 18 cleared their CA exams? So don't create an artificial necessity that you need these apps for your preparation. Also, stay out of any forum or community. Try to go as solo as possible. You don't need those handwritten notes. You don't need those important questions compilation. You don't need those fast track flowcharts. Come out of the hacker's mindset. Take the long and straight path. CA Institute's study materials, RTPs and MTPs are more than enough to crack the exams, and in my opinion, you are good enough to prepare from those. Illusion number 2. I will keep it in moderation. The next excuse people say to keep using these heavy apps is that they say they will learn to use them in moderation. Complete delusion. You are just fooling yourself by saying that. If you think that way, then let me remind you that billions and billions of dollars in funding have been poured into building these apps, and the best minds in the industry have been deployed to make these apps as addictive as possible to you. So don't think you can outsmart these apps. Take it from me, it's going to take real hard work for you to control yourself and keep using these apps in moderation. Maybe for 4 days you might be using them in moderation, but on day 5 you might let go of all your self-control and would end up indulging in them. Once you get into such type of indulgence, it's hard work to get back to control again. It's double work. Letting go of them completely is a one-time thing, and it is much more efficient. Illusion number 3. My friends are using them. Sometimes we would affix a wrong reference point by looking at some of our friends by stating that they seem to be using all the social media apps during preparation and they seem to be doing just fine. See, it works for your friends. It most likely won't work for you. Your life and your friends' lives might be so different. To give you a personal example, a lot of my friends smoke. A lot of my friends drink alcohol, and so many of my friends have multiple credit cards, and they seem to be doing just fine with all of them. But I have never touched a cigarette in my life, never taken a sip of alcohol, and I don't have a credit card. And I am not having plans to get into any of them as well for the rest of my life. I am not trying to virtue signal here. I am saying all this because I am so sure that they will never work for me. I am super doubtful about myself if I would ever be able to keep those in moderation. The truth is, I don't trust myself on this. So I decided it's better never to even get into that world. People will say they can keep and manage everything in moderation, and they would say it with so much authority and so much confidence. You don't fall for that. Sometimes it's better to be not confident about certain things, especially the bad things. Illusion number 4. What would people say? And finally, what about friends? What about relatives? What if they pass a comment about you? Yes, they are going to pass a comment. When I kept failing in my CA exams, people kept saying to me, "You are not serious enough about your career." And at one point, I did get serious and I decided to change my life. I disappeared for a while. And now they started to say, "You're so busy these days, you don't find time for us, you have become too serious. This much seriousness is also not needed." You know what? I would prefer being called too serious any day than being called negligent. No matter what decisions you make in life, you will keep receiving one comment or the other invariably. If you keep assigning bigger weights to whatever the people around you say, then you will never be able to make any big decision in your life. Also, don't feel the necessity to announce that you are going to be disappearing for a while. Don't post any statuses or stories. Some people might congratulate you in advance, but most others might feel skeptical about you. And finally, a few people might even text you and say that they are going to miss you and do their best to make you not leave. And the conversation will keep dragging to 12 rounds. True friends will understand and will stay with you somehow. Trust me, the world is going to be the same after 4 to 5 months. In both my CA inter and final, until I got away from all the distractions completely, I couldn't clear those exams. Now, as a last thing, let's say this video worked and you found the courage to successfully eliminate all the distractions. But in a few days, you will feel like slowly letting them all in one by one. And when you feel like that, know that you are veering towards the exit ramp. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you have found it helpful, do leave a like, share with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you and bye bye.